everyone. Here are some tips and ideas that you can try to incorporate into your retirement home level exercise classes. So I just want to start off by talking about the education. You might have noticed that it's a slightly different format. All the information is on one page, front and back, easier for you to deliver in class. And some of the information is phrased as a question. So when you read the question, just give the class time to answer. If they don't provide all the answers, it's listed below for you to read out. So our hope is that this sparks group discussion, the participants are more engaged in the information, and they might be learning a little bit more from the education material. It also gives you a break from reading word for word what's on the page. So just a little idea or tip when you're reading the education material. Next, I want to talk about some ideas for exercises that you can do in your retirement home classes. What I've noticed, a lot of our retirement home classes spend majority of the time seated. The challenge that we face with retirement home classes is the ability of the participants, so they might not be able to tolerate standing for long periods of time. But what we want to do is challenge them and get them up on their feet as much as we can. And so it's safe for participants. So what I challenge you to do, or what I suggest, is that they're spending more time standing for strengthening components of class. So they're sitting and you've gone through some of your seated strengthening exercises. What I'd suggest, have the participants stand for as long as they're able, 5 minutes, and they're doing those standing strengthening exercises. So they're on their feet, they're doing those weight-bearing exercises, and we all know how beneficial weight-bearing exercises are. So getting them up as they are able for those strengthening exercises. Tricep is an easy one to do standing. So they're slightly bent forward at the hip, elbows are back, reaching back. And in retirement home, if they need to be hanging onto a support, so they're hanging onto a chair or a walker, they're doing these one-handed. So biceps, triceps are easy to do standing. External rotation, this can be done standing. Keeping your elbows glued to your side, bringing those weights in and out. Slow and controlled. And again, if participants are only able to do one arm at a time to hold on for support, just doing one arm at a time. Any other easy ones standing, just those wrist flexion extension. So it's not making the exercise any harder, but participants are standing and they're getting up on their feet, which is what we want to see. So that's one idea or challenge that you can try in your class. Get your participants up standing, even if it's for 2 or 3 exercises more than they were doing previously. Another idea, I want to give you some ideas for balance exercises that you can do in your retirement home classes. It's recommended, the SFIC manual recommends that we're focusing on 5 minutes on balance. But in retirement homes, we want to be getting them up on their feet as much as we can. So maybe try to incorporate 10 minutes of balance into your class. So reducing your base of support is one way to provide a challenging balance exercise, and reducing the amount of support that they have. So they're hanging on with one hand, one finger, or without hanging on at all. So what you can have participants do, we want them to be shifting their weight. So what you can have them do, take a step forward and back. Step forward and back. So I'm challenging their balance in a safe manner because their walker or chair is right in front of them. Stepping forward and back. Or with one foot in front of the other, they're shifting their weight forward and shifting their weight back. Forward and back. and they know that support is there if they need. Same idea, side to side, so taking a step out to the side and back in. Out to the side and back in. And if your participants have a walker, just remind them to be careful of the wheels, that they're not going to be tripping themselves by hitting those wheels. So stepping side to side, and the progression from that would be they're just shifting their weight side to side. Or if they're able, their base of support is narrow and they're shifting their weight side to side. Same thing. This can be done decreased base of support, shifting their weight forward and back. And they have that support if they need. In some classes, I'd recommend that you have a chair behind them and a chair in front. So if they lost their balance, it's in a safe environment that they could sit down on the chair, which is right behind them. A harder progression is that single leg stance. So if participants are able, they're balancing on one foot and they're shifting their weight simply by raising their arms out to the side, or one at a time. So this is changing their center of gravity, and they're shifting their weight on that single leg. Switching, reminding them to have a slight knee bend. We never want to have a locked knee. Slight knee bend, reaching out in front and back. Reaching out in front and back. So depending on the level of your class, you can be creative and incorporate some of those ideas. Another one that I've touched on before is that single leg stance, but they're moving their leg. So they're moving their leg forward to the side and back. Again, a little more progression. This is a little harder than just moving your arm out to the side. But that's an idea of how you can incorporate some balance. And if your class is able, we want them working on some dynamic balance as well. So this can be done safely with support with their walker or a chair. You're getting them to step forward and back. So this can be stepping wide and back narrow. Stepping wide and back narrow. You want them to be doing as much as they can, but slightly challenging them. A little harder, and just pay closer attention if you're doing this one. They're stepping back. You don't want them to trip on something that's behind them if they can't see it. So that dynamic. To make it a little bit more challenging, they step in together and out. So they're doing a 4-step in together and out. It's almost like a figure 8 or an hourglass pattern. And those are all done safely with a chair behind them and a chair in front, or their walker in front if they need that additional support. Another way to challenge balance is tandem stance. So heel to toe, getting them to hang on with one hand and progressing to performing this exercise without hanging on. You want them looking straight ahead, focusing on one point on the wall. Makes balance exercises a little bit easier. So this is another static balance exercise that you can have them try. That heel to toe, reducing the amount of support they need. Again, in tandem stance, you can have them shift their weight forward and back. You can be creative with your balance exercises. I've shown you a few ideas here that you can incorporate into your classes. But the main focus or the main idea of this video is that we're getting our retirement home classes up on their feet a little bit more. We We want to be challenging them and giving them those weight-bearing exercises that we know are very important. So thank you for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the video.